Yo, yo, yo.
All right, one, two. New episode of what are we called? Culture Connected.
Yeah, culture connectors.
Um, yeah. Today we're just gonna be us. Sorry for the fans if you're expecting somebody, but I think we definitely owe a big apology to Nico for last episode, which at the time of recording you guys will hear tomorrow. Just a bunch of technical difficulties and stuff like that, but also a very good learning opportunity.
It'll be last week at this point,
Oh
because,
yeah, true. Yeah.
yeah,
By the time
yeah,
you guys hear this.
yeah. But yeah, it was a little uproarious situation. We pushed back our initial appointment 2 hours just for our rented studio to not work out as well as we thought it would.
And then we ended up just recording here anyway.
Yeah, but yeah, big apologies to Nico for that one.
Yeah, but he's a good sport, so thank you. We got some clips coming out and things like that. And you just take your not even an L. It was just a pivot more so. But I guess this is a good like message for everyone who's, thinking about starting or trying to be a perfectionist, which actually Nico talked about in his episode. Um, you just kind of gotta just go with the flow. Like, if something doesn't work, if you have technical difficulties, if the lighting's not right, whatever it is you're doing, just kind of just go and, you know, do what you got to do and make it work. I think, in this space that we're in, the podcasting space, Joe Rogan is probably the king. But he's been doing it for like 13 years. I remember early YouTube, like 2010, him and Bill Burr, they were, their sound quality wasn't the best. They were recording in their bathroom, all that other stuff. And then look at them now. So, um, we're doing the best we can. And then, as it gets better, especially in our case, big things are going,
Big things are going on.
very soon, very, very soon. So I hope you guys are excited for that.
Yeah, so I guess we can start off this conversation with the I guess not pitfalls, but what we've encountered so far doing the podcast. This is going to be the fourth episode. So, what, in your opinion, has been the most frustrating part about doing the podcast?
Honestly, the scheduling, bro. Like,
Hmm.
it's not getting the people on, but it's like I think my like of three people, so me, you, and whoever we have on. Um, I think I'm probably the most free just because I work remote currently.
Hmm.
And then you kind of bounce around and do stuff like, you're going to Europe, it's XYZ. Big congrats on that.
Thank you, bro.
And then the guests as well, they have their own schedule and stuff like that. So it's more just making it's three different data points trying to converge on the same area. And it's I say that's honestly the toughest thing is just finding the correct time for everything. But other than that, like the recording is fun, it's natural, it's almost therapeutic in a way. And then the technical stuff, I mean, like, if we could leave everything, like, set up, that'd be great.
Yeah, I was thinking that
Um,
today too before I came here, and I was
yeah,
like,
but, like, honestly, because you use it and have to go back and forth, like, we just have to double up on the setup, and that doesn't make any sense. But, no, I'd say those are probably the 2 biggest things, just, like, getting people on and, yeah, like, the setup because it doesn't take long. It's back of our hand stuff right now,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's just, like, if we could just sit down and go, that'd be way better.
Yeah, I think I share that testament too, where it's like the most annoying part is deconfiguring my whole music setup to come bring it here, to be done with it, to bring it back there. And then half the time I'm like, damn, I want to record a song, but I'm about to go do a podcast tomorrow. So I'm like, I'm just gonna just leave this stuff in the bag. So, but that's a very minute thing.
And, I mean, honestly, I was just thinking about it too.
Yeah, go ahead.
We could, honestly, with at least with, like, an interface, we could find probably, like a used one on, like, eBay for cheap,
Right,
and
right,
then
right.
this way, one is already here, and I don't really use my laptop for much else, so, we can have that here. Another ring light, I mean, the one we just got was what, $30?
Nah, that's
Um,
a good ring light too, bro.
yeah, so I
It's
think,
very good.
another ring light would be fine, this way you can keep yours with you, and then, as we expand and stuff, we're not even gonna need that because 'cause we'll have, like, a full, studio setup that just literally is just acts as that, and we won't have to touch anything.
Hmm. Yeah, and I think yeah, definitely the interface. I think that's a big one. So we can have a third mic, so we don't have to just pass your little blue mic back and forth,
Yeah,
and we can have more setups where it's just a boom arm with a mic on it that's already ready to go. So
yeah, but we're actually not gonna have that issue in the episodes that we have to come. Wink, wink to the fans. Very good production and quality. Actually, in he's on the team of one of your favorite comedians. I'm not gonna say who, but definitely gonna be very good quality, especially the clips and stuff like that. So I'm excited. I'm excited, ready for you guys to hear and everything like that. So
yeah, it's good, bro. So how's your week been, bro? Since we shot with Nico, how's your week been?
week's been chill. This weekend we were supposed to link, but you got scheduling things things happen. Plans get canceled, whatever. I mean, I wasn't too pressed to go anyway. And
Yeah,
from the video we saw, it wasn't even that good of an event. So
respectfully,
that
of
was
course.
fine. Hung out with some friends, some old college buddies, met some new ones. Just went out like a little bit, and then oh yeah, met up with another old friend. We chopped it up. She's actually yeah, she's a listener now, so that's good.
Shout out to her.
Yeah, shout out you know who you are. Shout out Williamsburg in Brooklyn. Not really, but that's just where she works. But yeah, how you been?
I've been good, bro. Sorry about this past weekend. I was at the beach in Long Island. Robert Jones Beach, I think.
Robert Moses?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I said. So I was at Robert Moses Beach. Um, didn't get in the water. I mean, as a West Indian man, me getting in American water would kind of be like a sin.
Yeah, nah. I mean, quick little side story. So, um, the weekend after my birthday, August 1st is my birthday, by the way, and Cayende's is August 2nd. We didn't plan this.
Yeah,
Um,
nah, it's just
but yeah,
divine
just it's
timing.
just what it is. But I was uh I was having a good night, euphemistically, and I really wanted to jump in the East River, and I dipped my ankle in, and I have a mark on this ankle, and it's like a scarring just from dipping my feet in the water, just to give you like a background of how disgusting the New York water is. I think it's healed now, but yeah, just you know, with my background, family's from Jamaica on my dad's side. Clear blue water. You can see your hand underneath, and then here is like sludge and
I was telling my friend at the beach, I was like, they're like, yo, kind of get in the water. And I'm like, the water's the same color as the sand.
yeah.
Why would I want to get in the
Nah, it's real dirty for no reason.
water?
Because before I thought it was like, oh, it's like a company thing, like they're just dumping sludge and stuff in the water, but like no, it's just like that.
It's just like that, bro. I don't
Yeah.
know.
So
But
I mean, if you want to become like an X-Man or like a superhero, I say test your luck. Like maybe drink like a cup like once a week and then see how your organ systems like adapt to it. But otherwise, yeah, you're not really missing much here. Jersey Shore though, I guess shout out Jersey Shore. I haven't been yet, but I've heard good things.
yeah, so I was at the beach. And then after the beach, went to this party for one of my close friends' girlfriend, again in Long Island. So it was 5 o'clock. The event started at 7. It's an hour to get back to New York, New York. And I was like, bro, let me just sell you back your money and just cancel for the
Yeah,
night.
what'd you eat?
The whole day,
Or anything exciting at least.
I had a bacon, egg, and cheese for breakfast.
New York sandwich of champions.
Yes. Turkey bacon though.
Yeah, no, none of that haram nonsense.
Yeah. I stay away from pork. I eat it, but I'm still
Yeah, I don't actively like search for it.
nah. It's not like I need a piece of bacon right now.
Yeah, but if it's on my sandwich, like it's whatever.
So I had a turkey, bacon, egg, and cheese, and then I think I just drank water for the rest of the day, and then I had a slice of pizza at nighttime. But
How's that Long Island pizza?
it was very good, actually. I'll give them that. It was good. It was very
Any
good.
any shout outs?
I don't know where the pizza was from, but it was good pizza.
Dang, this is the first time I'm kind of like floundering. Usually these are like straight to the point, but I think because we had guests on, it was kind of like more streamlined. Now it's like Haven't really been keeping up with the status quo of what's going on in the sphere. But let's talk about the economy.
I don't know anything about the economy,
No,
bro.
but no, but more so just like culturally, like where we are and what we have to face, like in terms of our, I guess, generation, for example. So like right now, I guess we're living the future that we see in the movies and on TV and things like that. So for example, AI is like a real thing. Like
Hmm.
we like even for to edit the podcast, we use AI tools and things like that.
Yes, we do.
So for people coming up and who are trying to do things, how do you think that like helps or hurts them with their endeavors?
So the way I see it, um, tools are meant to be used, right?
Hmm.
I think the ones who are still, for lack of a better word, inept at using tools,
Yeah,
it'll still put them in the same position. They won't be forward or backwards or anywhere else.
yeah, it'll just be where they are.
Yeah, but I think for the ones who are like you and I, who find a roadblock and then do everything in their power to overcome that roadblock, I think it helps more than it hurts. Um, because something like Chat GPT, something like Opus, which we use to edit our podcast,
Yeah,
um, those things have a learning curve. And the kids are getting super elite nowadays. Like they're in front of an iPad before they can walk. So that is easy for them. But I think for someone who just thinks that, oh, I'm just gonna go on Chat GPT or AI art or Opus or whatever other tools they have, um, it doesn't make their life easier if they can't use it, right?
yeah,
Like I taught my mom how to use Chat GPT and she still can't even use it right, respectfully. Because it's not a it's not about like I want you to write me something
hmm,
print.
yeah.
It's like,
You need to know how to ask questions
yeah,
properly.
and write well and write the King's English,
Yeah.
so
I was actually just having this conversation with somebody yesterday, and they were saying how like for us, we look at our grandparents like, oh, you fool, because like they can't like change their Netflix login. But when we're of our grandparents' age, like because the way technology advances, it's gonna be like, oh, you can't like change your consciousness into a different body, you dork. Like, like
yeah.
where technology is headed and just the pace at which it's evolving um is insane. I think formulaically, I think technology is like 10 to the X. So for example, we're in 2023. So from 1913 to 2013, it's the same technological evolution of 2013 till now. So for every 10 years, it's like 100-year
What's
gap,
that like? That's Moore's law, right?
something like that.
Yeah.
So like from now until 2033, I assume that'd probably be like, yeah, like 1,000 years of technological evolution. It's just gonna get faster and faster.
Hmm.
And there's a certain infamous person who wrote a manifesto that kind of discussed this actually, about how human biology can't really keep up with technological evolution. So there is going to be a tipping point where what's in today literally will be out tomorrow, and it's frightening, but I don't think we're exactly at that precipice just yet.
Yeah. What do you think though? I think my for no it was a long answer to a short question. I guess the short answer to your short question would be I think AI will make life easier and it's useful, but if you can't keep up, you get left. But what do you think about that?
No, 100% I agree. You have to change with the times. I just think from a big fish, little fish perspective, um, I feel like there would be a capitulation point where it's like super large entities and companies like an Amazon or a Microsoft, etc. They they may be able to like dwarf their workforce and just have like 10 people running the entire place as
Hmm.
long as they know how to use these AI tools,
But that's a big word. What does capitulate mean?
to force to like submit or like
Got
surrender.
you, got you, got you.
So I just don't know because I mean, let's be honest, big business kind of runs the country. They do all the lobbying, they do, money talks. So
Hmm.
it's kind of finding that sweet spot of like where enough people can be employed. Because outside of that, I was listening to some some interview with like Chamath Palihapitiya. I hope I pronounced that correctly. He was involved in Facebook really early on, and he was saying that like right now, somebody asked him, like a parent asked him, my kids, freshman year of college, what am I supposed to do? And he was saying like biology and math are kind of like constants across history. Like if the society ended today, we'd still have those things back. Otherwise, you're kind of going to be stuck in something service oriented. And another thing too is that's why there's a lot of people starting businesses now, because they may be really competent software engineers or high level whatever, but they can't get hired worth their value. So they're like, I'd rather bet on myself and take a chance of, getting paid my worth versus, going through the roulette of, having interviews or, taking a pay cut and stuff like that. So I think with AI and at least just the way the job market's evolving, there's going to be a huge split. It's just going to be people who are going to get enough money to just buy bare necessities, and then there's going to be like kings and queens.
Right, 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 right.
So obviously, I don't want to be on the serfdom side, but I guess we'll just have to see. And I mean, geo arbitrage, I think, is really coming big too. I mean, I've wanted to do that for a while, where you earn in a stronger currency and move to like a lower currency nation, so your money goes farther.
Hmm.
I'm definitely a big proponent of that. I'm pretty sure family still has land back in Jamaica, and I would go to Cuba as well, but with the political tensions and stuff like that, just doesn't make any sense. But
Yeah. So, question for you. So, where is Pablo's dream villa located?
so, like, perfect world where I have everything I want. I'd make enough to have multiple. I definitely would have. I'd have one in South America, I think, because probably Brazil, because I think they're like a really big developing economy, and just culturalistically, they're very close to the Latino side of my culture. I already speak Portuguese, so that wouldn't be too difficult. And their quality of life is really good. Like
Yeah.
they're very happy people. I'm broad brushing. Obviously, I'm sure there's a lot of political stuff and government involvement and stuff for people in Brazil. But at least for someone who would be moving there as an expat, I definitely would go there. Then probably somewhere in Africa as well. Also developing economy. Ghana's giving away citizenship like it's candy. At least they were. And then I have family in the US, so I wouldn't necessarily need a place here, but being that New York will always be like the financial hub of the entire world, I'd probably have a place here.
Hmm.
And then if I had to do Asia, it'd probably be Japan. Big fan of the culture, way of life, things like that. And then also they're also really in good position as well as an economy. So I think those would probably be my big four. Europe is in between. I can always pass through Europe, sort of
Right,
thing.
right.
So, but what would you say for yourself? Where would you optimally want to live? Would you want to stay here? Would you want to go elsewhere?
I'm not staying here, bro. Like, if I were to stay in America, I would have to have property. Now, when I say property, it's a dream villa, right? But I wouldn't want a dream villa in America. And if it's a dream villa, it'd be like a fourplex.
Yeah.
So I could just rent it out and then just go elsewhere. Um, Antigua is one place. Antigua is beautiful.
Shout out the Caribbean.
Shout out to the Caribbean, man. Antigua is beautiful, bro. It's just so slow. Like, I wake up some days in America and it's like, I really got to get to not the bag, but a bag.
Yeah.
Like I just got to get to a bag so I can just get to the next bag and the next bag. And it's fun. Don't get me wrong. This is podcasting is fun. Making music is fun. I even find enjoyment in doing other jobs. It's just
It shouldn't be like this. You shouldn't have to have
it's a Babylon
three.
thing, bro.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to have three like full income earning endeavors to be able to like just be comfortable. Like
Yeah,
that's not
and
normal.
I think there's this one Rasta man on YouTube, Prof I. He said something on a I Never Knew TV YouTube video. Shout out I Never Knew TV. Um, he was like, if you're stuck in Babylon, you just have to work.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Like if you're here, the whole thing is just work because you're not in a place where a mango can fall from a tree and you're fed.
Yeah. And I think another thing too is there was maybe the propaganda was too strong or something like that, because everyone I know, because most of my friends are like, not originally from here. My grandparents came over in the 70s, and everyone is, somewhere around there, if they're, otherwise they're first generation. And the rule of, or the order of the day was get a bag here and go back home and live like a king. But people got comfortable somewhere along the way, and people are staying here now. But everyone that like I know that's like our age, even a little bit younger, and definitely older, everyone's saying like, yeah, like I appreciate grandma and grandpa or mom and dad for coming here, but like I fake would rather go home and like,
Yeah.
because like equivalently, like let's say you're like middle class for whatever your home country is and middle class here. Here, I mean, like, yeah, you have vacations and you can afford an Xbox and an iPhone and things like that. But over there, it's like you can do more with less. And every time I go on vacation to, a not as developed country, I can sit on the beach for a month straight and do nothing and it's fine. Here, if I'm not doing something, I don't feel like I'm doing enough. And I think that's just like a cultural difference. And I think, yeah, a lot of people just kind of want to return
Yeah,
back to home.
and I say Antigua is one place. Brazil, I haven't explored Brazil too much. I've only been to Rio a couple times.
That's
Um,
more than me.
yeah, well, it's just the strip though. Like, I didn't get a real grasp of Brazil by being on the strip
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, that's like going in Times Square
and
and the
saying this is
radius
New
and being like, "Oh,
York.
this is New York."
It's not New York.
In Chicago, that's like going to the Loop. Like that's like a portion of it.
Yeah, I could just say now, like, I honestly I'd have to visit the place first. So I mean, I grew up in Antigua, so Antigua I know Antigua like the back of my hand for the most part. So Antigua would be one. Fourplex in America, just so I can geo arbitrage correctly. Um, I don't know. My dream villa. I think home is where the heart is. So
Yeah, I feel like
yeah,
I've always been a nomad, so like wherever I go, like that's kind of it for me. Like it doesn't really matter. Um, and I think as well, I would definitely want to have, at least for like once kids and stuff come into the picture, I think it'd be cool to be like, I mean, like, no, you need to be stationary for enough time for them to develop friends and like have a sense of comfortability. But I think it'd be cool to be like, oh, let's say we do have come to the United States for like high school, but live somewhere else for birth until junior high or whatever. I think it'd be cool to be like, oh yeah, um, I spent 0 to 11 in Brazil, or I spent 0 to 11 in Japan or whatever, because you're starting off so much more well-rounded than
yes,
the
yeah,
average person, and especially in the United States because it's just one contiguous country. So you're just gonna have one contiguous culture. Like, yeah, you'll have pockets of this culture and that culture here and there, but for the most part, everyone's like whatever dash American. If you grow up in South America, which would be Brazil's example, you can go to Argentina, you can go to Chile, you can go to Peru, you can go to Colombia, you can go to Venezuela. There's commonality, but there's differences. Japan, you have all of Asia, you have China, you have Singapore, you have South Korea. Um, I mean, if you want to do the Europe thing, there's like 30 different countries there. Like, so I think it'd be dope. And especially me being a polyglot, a language nerd, I definitely want to have that. Trilingualism, polyglottism. I want that gene to continue on. So
that makes sense. Definitely makes sense. So why do you think? I mean, King Solomon said there's nothing new under the sun, right? So if we're having this idea of America not being it, for lack of a better description, and sorry, America, I know we're using your means to provide this
yeah, everyone
podcast to
was gonna say,
people.
"Oh, go back to your home country." I'm not saying I appreciate like like
I'm not. It's like
yeah. This
we're
whole
grateful,
podcast is
bro.
is centered around the economic opportunity that's here. It's just the way of life does not yield the returns that it should for the work that you have to put in. That's all I'm
Yeah,
saying.
and I think okay. Here's a good question. I want to hear your perspective on this. So the homeless situation. So we always talk about this being the land of opportunity. Why do you think there are so many homeless people, bro? Especially in LA and New York. I mean,
Yeah, big hubs.
is it a drug issue? Respectfully, is it people not wanting to work, not tapping into things? Is it the wealth divide gap too large? Like, what do you think is your perspective on that?
Yeah. So actually, funny enough, Capital Hungry, he does like a lot of fundamental analysis for the different I guess currency markets and like financial markets and stuff like that. So shout out Capital Hungry if you want to like learn trading, definitely tap in. But he actually asked that too because I think he's in a major city and he said, do you notice like a rise of homelessness? And I don't think I have per se because I think New York has just been a big homeless hub, so I don't necessarily see more or less. But I think the rise is it's a multifaceted issue, like everything is here. So one, definitely drug issues that plays a role, 10 to 15% of people. Two, the pandemic, like it ousted a lot of things. It ousted the fragility of our infrastructure because like with the pandemic, it was like you won or you lost. Like some people got like the most pay they ever received and they work remote and they have like great quality of life. Other people lost their jobs and just got in this lost in the sea of like the endless finding a job loop. So I
Mm-hmm.
think there's that. Three, living above your means. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
are living paycheck to paycheck. All these reports coming out of people are, 70% utilization on their credit cards or they're living off their credit cards. Student loans got paused, so that money came back. But now that it's going to be paid forward again, people aren't going to be able to afford basic necessities, plus inflation. So when you have that soup of just issues and infrastructure stuff and blah blah blah, I think that's definitely the cause for it. But I mean, I guess looking at it from a different angle, Bobby Hemmett said this. Shout out Bobby Hemmett. That the homeless person is I guess is the freest in a way because outside of just food, outside of basic like biological necessities, you don't have like like a Russian doll nest of things that you have to keep up with.
Right.
So if you have a job, you have to like worry about paying for your housing. You have to worry about paying for your food. If you have dependents, you have to worry about paying for them. You have to worry if you have a partner, you have to be a good partner and cater to your partner as well as whoever's the provider, whoever has higher salary, whatever your setup is. So there's a lot of things that like nest on each other. So you have to be like a high performer, even at the most basic of things. Even if you have, some a partner who doesn't like want to buy a lot, if you don't go on vacation a lot, but there's just like a lot of things resting on that. Whereas if you don't have to show up somewhere every day and every day is like a new adventure, and I mean obviously, I'm not like homeless people definitely have like their own issues to deal with, but in a very basic sense, it's just make it to the next meal and find a warm place to sleep, and that's it, and
Right.
not have all these other things. So, but here in America, like solving the homeless issue, it definitely takes money. I don't think people who are just like, oh, just convert every like vacant office into a place for them to sleep. People have to clean these places, tend to these places, make them hospitable, not violating human rights. But in another sense, I think it's just, yeah, it's tough. Like, I mean, obviously, I haven't been to like every stretch of like whatever countries I've been to, but I don't see it as often. I've definitely seen homeless people in other countries, but it's not as often. So
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like the barrier to entry to basic necessities is also just lower. Or, you kind of do the I just live with 11 people in my family sort of route. But here with the housing in the nuclear family, everyone is like the first thing to do is I gotta get my own space. I gotta get my own space.
Yeah, that's my next point too. How do you feel about that idea? I mean, without get pulling the race card, I hear that it's usually Caucasian families and Caucasian adjunct philosophies that propagate as soon as you turn 18, go out, get a job, do it by yourself. But you also mentioned the idea of uh I mean it's an I know it's an Asian thing, it's a West Indian thing, definitely.
African thing for
African
sure
thing.
too.
You stay at home
You're married pretty much.
until you're married or until like you're making enough. And if when you're making enough, you're still staying home until you're married because you gotta take care of me and your grandmother and
Yeah.
your grandfather.
Yeah, the three generations in the same house.
So what I'm trying to understand where I mean I'm unsure if you'll have the answer, but I mean this it just seems very fallible just to think that an 18-year-old would have
The
the
wherewithal to
the
like
wherewithal to have the next 82 years of their life planned out. Like, you're right, mom and dad. I'm gonna go out and fend for myself.
well, I will say this. Well, one, I mean, obviously like a Western ideology or cultural influence is gonna be the prevailing one, being that we live in a Western nation.
Right.
But up until what, 1960, 70, you could do that. You could buy a house with a college job, have kids at 22, have 4 kids by the time you're 30, house paid off, like all that stuff. So that does make sense.
Okay, I can see. I
Yeah.
can see. It's
So
just archaic at this point.
yeah.
Then.
So at this point, it's very archaic. And number two, I mean, I don't know the history of Europe and what they did over there, but at least for like, the other cultures of the world, yeah, that kind of is it's the pooling resources ideology. And I know up until probably like the early 1900s in the United States, um, you pretty much like you had a compound of land. So you had a house for mom and dad, a house for the kids when they grow up, a little place for grandma and grandpa. So everyone lived on the same land. And then yeah, you kind of pooled your resources. And then probably something in the baking industry, coaxed people with, oh, you can get a house, you can live on your own, you can this and the third. So that broke down sense of community, that broke down, all those things of like camaraderie and wanting to stay at home. And don't get me wrong, I mean, there are some parents where it's like, yeah, if I stayed at home, I would have done something brash because, your mental health would have been in the toilet. I get it,
Yeah.
but excusing those, yeah, I think it's just, people are kind of going away from I wouldn't say it's unnatural, but just this alternative way of living isn't it. And I mean, especially now, like anyone who's still in college or younger listening to this, stay home if you can. Like, sack up your money, be comfortable. Like, it'd be so much better for you to move out with 20, 30K in the bank than nothing. Because if anything, you lose your job, this and that. And that happened to me before. I had to move back home briefly. Um, it's not fun. It's annoying. And then, your parents are going to be like, oh, I told you so, and this, that, and the third. So you're never going to live that down either. But yeah, just save up as much as you can. And also the whole retirement home nonsense. Nah, grandma or mom-in-law, whoever, you're staying with us because I've seen what's happening in those
No, those things are
retirement homes.
abysmal,
And
bro.
that's no way to live. Like you're not moving, you're not getting any sunlight. Like you're speeding up the transition process. And you're as an elder, you need that wisdom, passed down to different generations and things like that. So definitely not a fan of that. If you have the money, yeah, just build a separate whatever, or grandma's got upstairs, rest of the family's got downstairs, or if you got bad knees, switch it. But yeah, just make sure keep the family tight, keep the family whole. All this like separation and everyone wants to move all whatever this and the third. Like no, I'd rather guarantee my family has like 1 million combined in assets if we all stay together for a little bit of time and then yeah, go off young man and build your own thing. But you have 250,000 in the bank to like
Right.
hold you over and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's kind of what I'm trying to do too. And even including my friends, like wherever I end up that's outside the US, I'm budgeting enough money to where I have enough land where if my friend or somebody's like in need, I'd be like, yo, I have a house for you here. So it's not like, oh, I feel like I'm overstepping in this and they're like, no, we're gonna get you all over here, everyone in the family, and we can just build a life together wherever we're at and enjoy, whatever it is. Cause joy is your birthright. So you should be having fun and having as much happiness and whatever as you can, while it's here. And so yeah, that's probably my best answer. I probably took up like 7 minutes saying that, but
Nah, but you good, bro. Yeah,
yeah,
because I definitely refute the whole idea of pushing the bird out of the nest. And I think the adage comes from I didn't look at me, I made it.
yeah, I made it out the mud and
I
all
made
that
out the
other
mud.
stuff.
And it's like
No, I'm definitely pro silver spoon. Like, yes, my kid will be spoiled. Yes, he has a rolls at 18 or whatever. I did that, and I want my grandkid to make that look like nothing.
yeah, pro nepotism and pro silver spoon.
Yeah,
Pablo's rhetoric right
yeah.
here.
You don't get anything from like making it out the mud. Like, you have all these resources. I'm gonna say no, no, dad, I don't want or no, mom, I don't want
No.
the Rolly. Let me start with a G Shock and build my way up. And I get that to a certain degree because if you are handed everything, it actually hinders you a lot. Like most people who are in AA are people who have never had any sense of adversity, or had to work for anything. But I think not using anything is crazy. Like why struggle and start your own business from scratch when dad can write you a check for 100K or or
Yeah.
20K or whatever the case may be.
And I
Use
think
it productively.
yeah, and I think on the same topic of nepotism and silver spoonism, um, I think that's why and we had this conversation before, I think. That's why liberal arts degrees are so major for people who come from families of esteem, because if my child is going to enter the workforce, because I mean, realistically, we all got to work. We're in the West, right?
Mhm.
If my child's gonna enter the workforce, I'd rather have them equipped with critical thinking than anything else, right? I
Yeah.
mean, respectfully, I wouldn't mind. I mean, looking at myself 10 years from now is wild. I'm seeing great things, but
Yeah,
I
we'll probably be recording this in Brazil, realistically.
realistically, I also just see my child doing whatever he or she wants, but there's nothing wrong with. Is this a recording? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's nothing wrong with a trade too.
Yeah.
Trades are there are people who are out there making 200K,
Yeah.
100K, nailing nails into boards.
I think
And
with a lot of people though, sorry to cut you off,
mhm,
is the world is so connected now via globalism that people don't want to give up that location independence because when you're a tradesman, you gotta be in whatever local area. So it's like I get that, but I feel like if you're in a major city, you can still have the fun and just put your head down for 5 years. Like let's say you don't want to do the college route, 18, well, usually 10 years to become a master tradesman, but let's say 5 years you're earning like 120K by year two, right? And you're putting most of it away because you live in a podunk town or even if you live someplace like you're making enough money where even when you go out you're saving most of it.
mhm.
Then you have a nest egg of like, yeah, a quarter mil or some like substantial amount. Then yeah, you can go and do whatever. Or if you're smart, you start a business of your own in whatever trade, carpentry, welding, you know, glass blowing, whatever it is. And then you just get like two, three guys. You take like a 20% cut. So they're still earning bank, but you're earning money off of them working. And then you just slowly build your force. Let's say you have like five, six guys, 10 guys. You're making 20% of their 120K a year. So 10% is 12, 24. So you're making 24,000 off of each guy. You have 10 guys right there, quarter mil, and you don't lift a finger. You're just, I don't know. You can even hire a secretary to just, outsource the calls and stuff like that. And you're Gucci. So um, there's many different ways to the mountaintop. You just have to choose what one you want to do
I think,
more than the others.
yeah, definitely.